Okay, my name is Rich Arias. I found that I had cancer by taking a shower, and I was trying to lose weight, so I was riding a stationary bike. And I noticed that one of my testicles was swollen. It was about triple or quadruple the size of the other one. So I stopped riding the bike for about a week, hoping it would go down, and it did. So the principal at the time here, Mr. Avalar, he had a similar thing happen to him. And he said what it was water, that his testicle had gathered a lot of water and it swelled. So I went to my doctor, it was a Friday I remember, my personal doctor, and he checked it out and said, this is beyond me, you have to go to a specialist. I went to a urologist, and the urologist told me, he looked at me and said almost immediately, I think I know what it is, it's testicular cancer, and we're going to do surgery on Monday. Now it scared me, because you read stories about somebody saying that we have to do surgery immediately, and he told me that if this was a Thursday instead of a Friday, that we'd do surgery the next day. So I was, to say the least, I was scared. And my son was playing freshman football in high school, and I went to all his games. Well, I missed this game because I was in the doctor's office, and then they had to schedule the surgery room for Monday morning and everything, and one of the worst days of my life. Oh, I'm sorry, and this happened in 1990, so I've been a survivor now, knock on wood, for almost 21 years. My personal doctor, Dr. Williams, who is now retired, is one of the best doctors I've ever had. The reason I liked him so much, he told me one time, do you want to stay healthy? And I said, yes. He goes, don't come and see me then. Because he goes, I'll find something. So I really felt close to him. The urologist I went to, as soon as I met him, I felt like he was one of my older uncles, like he was going to take care of me, and he was phenomenal. At that time, I owned 2 restaurants in the early '90s, and he lived in Saratoga, down where I live in Campbell, and he came in with his wife and his grandchildren to have dinner at our place, and I felt he made me feel so good. Even though I was very scared, I thought I will beat this because of him. And I remember that we were supposed to have a 2-year checkup, because if the cancer doesn't come back in 2 years, it usually won't come back. So I went to him for maybe 4 years. Why? Because I felt so comfortable talking to him. So he really was helpful. And when I had my radiation, the nurse, her name was B, and it's kind of ironic, one of my best friends, who I played Little League with, went to high school with him. We got drafted on the same day of the Army. He got cancer 1 week after I got cancer. And so we went to radiology. He's a barber, so he took radiology in the morning, I took it in the afternoon. And we became so close to this nurse that we took her out for about 5 or 6 years. We'd go out in the summer. One summer day we'd pick a day, and he'd take off work, and I had the summers off, obviously, so we'd take her out because she made us feel so good. And the thing I remember most about her, I got 3 tattoos. They're just like little specks on me. And the reason you get those is they line up the hairs from the radiation machine. And the day I went in to get my 3 tattoos was Halloween. And she was dressed as Raggedy Ann. And I still remember her that way. She was just an absolute sweetheart. And she made me feel so comfortable, as my urologist did. I felt really good until I walked in that hospital. And that hospital, I never, since then and before then, I never noticed it. But when I used to walk in there was a certain smell, and my stomach would get nauseous, like I was going to throw up. Now, I never threw up, but it felt like I was going to throw up every time I walked in the hospital. Now, ironically, and I walked in the hospital, the same hospital. When I walk in that hospital now, I don't smell that smell. But when I was going through the radiation, I smelled the smell. And I had lost weight. I'd been on a diet. I had lost a lot of weight. And then I couldn't look at fish or chicken. I just couldn't stand the smell. So I started eating a lot of starches. So during the time period, I gained 20, 30 pounds because I was eating a lot of starches. That's over about 2 or 3 month period. And so then I had to go back, after they took me off the radiation, then I had to go back on a diet, try to lose some weight. My wife and my kids, and then friends. And then ironically, probably my biggest support group was my barber. Because he knew exactly what I was going through, because I knew exactly what he was going through. And sadly, he had lymphoma. When we got drafted in the Army, he was sent to Vietnam, I was sent to Germany. And in Vietnam, they used Agent Orange. And he got, in 1990, when I got my testicular cancer, he got lymphoma. Well, a year ago, last month, March, his came back. In fact, on the way up here today, I stopped at next to El Camino Hospital where I had my surgery, and he's taking chemo again. And it's his cancer is life-threatening. And like I said, he's one of my best friends, and so he was my support group as we went through this. And now I'm trying to be as supportive of him as possible because I know what it is. And he's taking chemo now. Radiation and chemo are like night and day. Chemo is much more powerful. I'm a pretty outgoing person. I have a lot of friends, and I had a lot of people calling me and coming over to see me. So I had a real good support group. So they offered them, but I didn't really feel like I needed them. I had a lot of people that were very supportive of me. And then I didn't, you know, you never know at the time, but then you start meeting these people that have gone through the same thing you went through. They've had testicular cancer, and I was 44 and I got a testicular cancer. I don't remember anybody, maybe an athlete, but I don't remember anybody getting testicular cancer until I got it, and then I started talking to people. They told me, oh, so-and-so had it, and so-and-so, and so. And then they become a sort of support group, because they made it through, and they think, you know, you're going to be okay too. Remain positive, and be strong, and if you need somebody to talk to, if I know the person personally, I would tell them, come and see me and let's talk. Because I know it's, when I first got it, the doctor said, you're going to have surgery now on Monday. I was by myself, there was nobody there. And then all these thoughts run through your head, what's going to happen. And I remember the person I thought about the most was my youngest son, who was 8 years old at the time. And I'd read an article about when a parent dies, and the kids between, I can't remember the age group, but like, you know, when they're early teens and 6 or 7, when a parent dies, it really affects kids when they're that age. Well, my old son was older, my daughter was older, but he was much younger. So I thought a lot about him. Did a lot of praying too. Every year, I don't do it every year, but Cancer Society calls me and asks if I'll write, you know, these letters to people in my neighborhood, you know, and ask for donations for them. And so I've done that times. My wife had breast cancer in '07. And so every year she goes on, there's a breast cancer walk in San Francisco. It's in September, I believe. And her and her sister who got breast cancer also. And there's about 6 of them that go on the walk every year. So we try to support it as a family. Because, you know, I mean, there's both of us. She's had it and I've had it. In fact, she still takes a pill for her cancer. I think after her radiation was done, and her radiation was done sometime in the summer of '07. For 5 years she takes these pills. The good thing that came out of it, my wife was not very athletic or physical. She doesn't work out at all. And she was telling me her joints were bothering her from the pill she was taking. And I got her some light weights. And so now, 3 days a week she does water aerobics. And then 3 days a week she does sit-ups and lifts weights. And she takes Sunday off. But her joints don't bother anymore because her muscles are stronger, so they compensate for the joints. So that's a positive that came out of it. And when you first get it and you hear the C word, the amount, I didn't go to Vietnam, but I was in the Army. They call them levies. That's when you're going to get orders to go to Vietnam. And 3 times in the Army I got orders saying I was going to go to Vietnam. Then for various reasons they were canceled. I never had as much fear in me as when he said, yeah, it's cancer, but I think I know what kind it is. But even when he said it's cancer, I didn't hear anything else he said. All I heard was, you have cancer. And so he goes, we'll verify that after we do the, not autopsy, the biopsy. And then we'll find out. And when I went in to see him, he said, yeah, but he said, you're going to be okay. So again, he made me feel assured, but still, all I could hear was cancer. And even if he said it's going to be all right, that's all I could hear. So I think it does make you stronger. Yeah. And I've always appreciated life, but it makes you appreciate life that much more. One of the reasons I teach here is that not only because I love the kids here, and we have a great group of kids, is because I've always felt very close to the faculty. Now the only one left on campus is Mr. Simone that I felt close from the previous. But in 90, when I got the cancer, almost all of us were still here. One had passed away, but they were a wonderful support group, and they made me feel very comfortable. And I don't know this, but I don't think any of them had cancer. The one that had passed away in 1983, and he had pancreatic cancer. And Mr. Simone and I were very, very close to him. I can remember going to that window and crying when I found out he had passed away. And we knew it was going to happen, but it was just a thought. So my close group, there was about 8 to 10 of us, were very, very supportive. My name is Rich Arias, and I'm a survivor.